Are you ready to finally break free from overwhelm, procrastination, and burnout? If you're ready to focus on what truly matters and create momentum to reach and exceed your goals in business and in life, then this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Efficiency Advantage, the podcast where clarity meets action and purpose that fuels your progress. So here's world-class productivity expert and your host, Coach Juli.
Welcome back to the Efficiency Advantage. I am looking forward to sharing something that I think you're really going to like today. This is all about calendaring, how to use a calendar properly. And I love this topic because when I work with my clients and teach them how to use a calendar properly, it's amazing how many people are not using a calendar well. They always have these amazing aha moments, and it can be truly life-changing. So this is something I'm excited about sharing, and I hope you have some wonderful takeaways from it today. So as I said, not everybody really knows how to use a calendar properly. And when I'm saying calendar, I am referring to a digital calendar at this point. So that would be either a Google Calendar or iCal with Apple, Outlook also. So there are a variety of digital options. And I'm not going to go too far into paper options, but if you have a question and you'd like to ask anything about using a paper calendar, please go ahead and go to askjuli.com, and Juli is the way Julie is spelled. And go ahead and put in a question on that website, and I will be happy to get to it in a future podcast. So with regard to calendars, and again, digital calendars, I'm going to just kind of share some basic information around the calendaring process. For starters, a calendar should have everything that you do, that you're going to be doing, that is going to take up a significant amount of time. It should be entered in your calendar. So that would be any kind of an appointment, anything that you are going to be going from point A to point B. So let's say you are going to be transitioning from one appointment to another and you're driving, if you're going to be catching a flight, if you're going to be going to the doctor's office, anything that you're going to do that has a start and an end time must be in your calendar. And obviously the start end time should be accurate and in there too. So you're going to want to put everything that has an actual time in your calendar. We'll get to the other things in a little bit. The other thing I want you to be thinking about is I want you to look at your calendar as the GPS of your life. And why I say that is this is going to be the place that you're going to reference and really look at and put a lot of attention to as to where you're supposed to be and when. That's what a GPS does, right? It tells us where you're going to go and when you need to be there, when you're planning to be there. It'll give you an idea of how long it's going to take you to get there. Well, a calendar is not too far off from that. It's going to tell you where you need to be or what you need to be doing and when. Sometimes it is going to be actually going to a physical place somewhere else. Other times it might just be changing of your activity or whatever project you might be working on. So when you're using your calendar, whichever one you are going to be using, I want you to be able to access it easily. It should be something that is on your phone, that is just as easy to get to on your computer, so that you are able to access it very, very quickly. And I also suggest you keep it open and up and available during the day so that you can always reference it very, very quickly. So here are a few little tidbits about your calendar. First of all, your calendar should always reflect reality. What that means is If something changes during your day, change it on your calendar. That I know sounds rather obvious, but it's really unbelievable. Sometimes people just don't change it. They don't make their calendar accurate. And if you always have your calendar reflecting reality, you won't end up forgetting something, missing something, being late to something. This way, you always have an idea of exactly what's happening and when. Okay, and that's really important. And that's not just for today, but that's for any time in the future. If someone says, "Hey, I know we were supposed to meet on Friday at 2, but I can't make it. How's 4 sound?" And you say, "Yeah, that sounds great." That's the moment you want to go back to your calendar and move the appointment from 2 to 4. Actually, you should have been looking at your calendar when you made that commitment. Right there. Yes, 4 o'clock works. Know that 4 o'clock works. Don't guess. So, when you're working on your calendar, we're going to talk about how to kind of set it up. And that's what I want to share with you right now is how to actually set up your calendar. First of all, you're going to want to set up the categories of your calendar, the categories of your life is actually what it should say. They are called generally calendars, just the word calendars in the apps. And that refers to the categories, really, of where you're spending your time. So you will have a personal category or calendar, and that would be for anything that you're going to do that just you, pretty much. It's just kind of an all about you kind of a category where this will be where you put down how when you're spending time on your working out, any a personal appointment, anything that you're doing just pretty much for you. It's, you're in charge of it. Now, it's a little different from time you might be spending with friends. Yes, that's you, but it's your social time. So we're going to have a different category for social opportunities or social experiences. So you can have one just called social events, and that would be a different color. And we're going to talk about color in a moment. You also would have a category called work. So if you work for a company, you will just have a work color, and that color will be just for time that you are physically at your job or doing your job, whether that's in a different environment or if it's in your home office. You're also going to want to have a category for deadlines. So these are things that are urgent, they're important, and that's a category unto itself. That's the color that you're going to use for something that is really important that you want to make sure you do not miss. You do not forget that. And you also want to use it for something like I use it for confirming when let's say I've posed something to an event that I might attend. And when I get a confirmation that I have been accepted or I'm going to be attending it and that's confirmed, I change it to red. So it stands out in my calendar as a non-negotiable. And that I just alluded to the colors a little bit here. When I have something that is urgent, my deadline category is red. Red is a color that indicates something that is urgent and important. And that is what a deadline essentially is. So that's the color that I use for deadlines. Now, I'm going to give you some of the colors you might want to consider for the categories I've just shared, and then I'll give you some ideas of other categories you might want to add. So, your personal color, pick your favorite color. That's all fine, but stay away from red, green, and yellow, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Oftentimes, people use a color for their personal calendar that starts with the letter P. So pink, purple, it's fine, whatever. If dark blue is your favorite color, use it. It doesn't matter too much as long as it's not one of the other colors that I just mentioned. When you have the work calendar set up, select a color of green, and that would be for for the most part, it's a color that is of growth. It's a color where the money, at least in the United States, is green. So you work for money and money is green. So there's the connection with the color green for work time. And again, it can be any of the shades of green that you are happy with. Social time, sometimes people use a kind of a bright, happy color. And that's a great one to use. Whatever color that you like, it can be a pink color, sky blue, whatever works for you. It's not super crucial, but sometimes people like using kind of a color that symbolizes kind of a happy time for them. Another one, a category I did not share with you yet, is travel. And when you're going to be traveling for a trip, or you are going away on a work vacation or a work trip or a vacation, I should say, let's put it in the right order, a color that's good for that is yellow. And the reason for that is yellow is a color that indicates something that is temporary. Okay. So that makes sense since a trip is temporary. And it's also a color that you want to be a little careful with. Some shades of yellow can bring about some anxiety for some people. So you want to select a very calming kind of yellow color. If you have a crayon box or the wheel of color in your calendar, choose that. I know some of the colors that are in other calendars, they're limited. So you'll pick whatever color that works for you. Now, there's another category you might want to use, and or series of categories, I should say, and that would be for other people. Say you are parenting 3 children and you would like to have all the schedules that they're going to be, that reflect some things that they're going to be doing. You might want to have a color for each child and your spouse as well. So anyone that you kind of work your life around, you want to give them a color and have that in your calendar too. And the reason for this is you want to be able to see the things that they're going to be doing. Let's say you've got a child that has tutoring on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and another one that has piano lessons on Wednesdays. You want to have all that information in your calendar, even though you may not physically be going to that activity or taking them there. You still need to be aware of it because as a parent, you've probably orchestrated that happening. So keep that in mind when you're going ahead and putting your calendar together, that you've got access to the information that is happening or the events that are going to occur for others in your life. So you have an idea of where everybody is and there's no confusion. Now, another important thing is you get one calendar. Now, a lot of people are shocked by this. I'm going to tell you a very funny story, and which will illustrate this a little bit. So I was speaking at an event and had a pretty good sized room of people there, all actually entrepreneurs. And when I was talking about calendars, I decided to do a quick little survey of the audience. So I asked everyone to raise their hand if they had a calendar, a calendar of any sort, any type, a calendar. Pretty much everyone in the room, of course, logically raised their hand. Great. And then I said, okay, now if you have 2 calendars, keep your hand up. Now, about half the room lost, put their hands down, and the rest still had their hands up. They had 2 calendars. I said, okay, now keep your hand up if you have 3 calendars. And there were still a few hands up. But then the funniest thing happened. This woman in the back, I can tell you I did not make this up. This actually happened. This woman in the very back, she started frantically waving her hand, and then she started blurting out, I have four, like she won a prize. And then I asked her a very important question. I said, so how, well, where are all these calendars, firstly? She goes, well, I have one in the car, one in my office, one on the fridge, and one in my purse. So that's a lot of calendars in a lot of places. And she goes, yeah, but so I have to check these. And I said, well, let me ask you something. How often do you miss appointments? And that's when she got real quiet. She got quiet because she then said, often. And I could see that this was a real painful issue for her. So when I explained that you really want to keep everything in one calendar, just think of it as a one per person system, because why would you want to have multiple calendars that you have to consult every time you need to make an appointment? If she had to look at four calendars that are in different locations, mind you, it would be very difficult, dare I say impossible, to consistently make sure that she was not double booking herself. She confirmed that was indeed a problem. That happened often. So, what I recommend, and what I recommended to her and everyone in that room, is you have one calendar, color code it, and have everything on it. You can always, just tap the button to hide a calendar if you don't want to see something in order to schedule yourself differently. That's doable. Just make sure that you have access to everything that is going to be happening for you and for those in your immediate sphere so that you can plan accordingly. If you know that you've got time available on Saturday afternoon and you want to plan a big family event, well, it would be nice to know if your kids have something scheduled, a soccer game or something that afternoon. That's going to make it difficult. So you want to be able to see everything that's going to be impacting your schedule and the planning of your life. Okay, so a few things that you want to make sure that you're doing. First of all, you're wanting to make sure that you are checking your calendar frequently. How often should you check your calendar? Well, I'm going to tell you. You should be checking your calendar at minimum every morning before you start your day, just to confirm that you know what time your day starts and what you're going to be doing first. And at the end of your day, so that if anything has changed over the course of the day and you need to adjust tomorrow's schedule, you still have time to do it. Also, let's say you have an appointment that is starting way earlier than you're generally starting your day. It's really nice to know that the night before and not the morning you wake up and miss it. So just have some awareness around what your day is going to look like tomorrow. And in the morning, check and just confirm that you remember or that you know what you're doing first. Now, those are the most important times to look at a calendar. The next most important time is at every transition. Every time you're going from one activity or one event to another, look at your calendar, check the time, and check where you're supposed to be. That's it. Just constantly check it. Know where you're going to be, know when you need to be there. And that way you will be punctual. You will be responsible and reliable. And people will expect this and know that they can count on you to show up on time. When I do meetings, for example, and I've been on various board meetings, and I have a group of people, I got a reputation of starting on time because I did. I figured people should get there in time to be ready for the meeting to begin at the time it was scheduled. And then I start on time. And you better believe everyone got the message. And those that showed up late, they realized, oh, she actually starts on time. Okay, well, then I will be on time next time. So you can actually really make it so that others become more responsible Two, don't get a reputation of always being late. Okay, so the next thing is what you're going to do between the meetings and events and things that you have occurring on your calendar. That's when you're going to get tasks done. That may be projects that you have various steps to take care of. That may be phone calls you have to make, emails you have to return. Whatever you have to do, you're going to keep track of that in another way, generally on a task management system. Sometimes the calendar can act as one as well. That's for another podcast, though. And this way, you're going to want to block your time on your calendar for the fact that you're going to actually do tasks. And you can use it as an appointment, and you can have it be its own color. If it's work related, then you can maybe make it the same work color, green, or a different shade of green, perhaps. Or you might just want to make it a totally different color just for blocks of time that tasks are going to occur. Okay, I have spoken long enough. I will leave you with this challenge. I'm going to invite you to set up your calendar and make it work for you. Set up the categories that are reflective of the things that you spend your time doing. And make sure that you don't put too many categories. If it falls into something that you do just for you, for example, it's all in the personal category, for example. So, whether you work out, eat, when you plan your meals, and we'll talk about that in the next episode, the little nuances of calendaring, but set up your calendar so that you are doing the things or blocking the time for the things that you're going to do. Okay, that's all I have for today's episode. I'll look forward to next episode, which will be on some more really cool details about calendaring and making that successful for you. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can go to askjuli.com. That's Juli, and feel free to ask any questions you want, and your question might just be answered on this podcast. Otherwise, I'll get back to you in another form. And please subscribe. There's a button down below. Use it. Push the button and share this with people who you think would also benefit from learning this information. I hope you have a productive day, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The Efficiency Advantage.
So that's it for today's episode of The Efficiency Advantage. Head on over to Apple Podcasts, iTunes, or wherever you listen and subscribe to the show. One lucky listener every single week that posts a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes will win a chance in the grand prize drawing to win a private VIP day with Coach Juli herself. Be sure to head on over to theefficiencyadvantage.com and pick up a free copy of Coach Juli's gift, and join us on the next episode.